But for the viewers out there, and I want them to go to willbratton.com, BRATTON.com. Tell people how you got involved in your military service, what you saw over there, and what has prompted you to come back overseas and now run for Congress here in Texas.
Okay. Well, let's see. I enlisted for war back in 2004. I saw the Iraq War getting hot, and I wanted to go, I guess, test my manhood or whatever, test my mettle. Went over 05, 06, did a full year, was JAG legal specialist, so I did military law both in Iraq and Germany. When I came home from the war and I got in the rental car to go home and see my family, the road that I'd driven home for free for years was now a toll road. And later on I found out that that toll road was owned by a private company in Spain, so that just broke my heart.
And is that really, Centracorp, by the way? Is that
exactly,
Centracorp that owns it?
That's the name of it,
okay.
Out of Spain. And, yeah, no, that was it. That was when I decided that we weren't the empire that I thought we were, that we're just the tool of the empire, and that they came home to feed, and that we have to fight for liberty.
So, in other words, you saw that this wasn't so much maybe an imperialist agenda, but more of an international agenda when a foreign company can come into this country and a state like Texas that really does pride themselves on their independence and individualization and then tax a road for private corporations.
It's insane. I couldn't believe it. When I actually looked into what politicians have been doing, and this isn't something that just happened within the past few years and with Perry and whatnot. This has been going on for decades. Just the way that they've sacrificed our infrastructure and our public works to international corporations, just so that they wouldn't have to take any responsibility.
So why don't you tell some people out there what your platform is, what you're hoping to accomplish with this congressional run. Tell people what district you're going to be running in, how they can support you, and how they can get in touch with you and help you through willbratton.com. Go ahead.
Thank you. Sure. And there are two things I'd like to talk about, on this section. First off, I am campaigning for House of Representatives, District 59, but I'm also offering a private text message notification service that I'm calling the Redress of Grievances Communication Network, or ROGCOM. This is a legislative notification service where you go to willbratton.com and register for ROGCOM, and you give me your name and cell phone number and county, and if it's one of the multi-district counties like Travis or Harris or Bear, then I'll need your address. But with that information, I can determine your legislator's name and office number. And then when they print the agenda the night before things are going to be discussed or voted on, I can start sending out those notifications to everyone in the state that's registered. So they'll know what to respond to, who to respond to, what their number is at the most appropriate time in that legislative session, and really get people to take advantage of their First Amendment right to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
Well, that is just exciting stuff. And you're a rather young guy. I mean, like you said, you served over in Iraq. But why don't you tell people why you're so motivated at this young age to do something? Why aren't you just sitting back like so many others and saying, well, it's somebody else's problem?
There's so many reasons, I guess. But I guess what speaks to me on that is the Benjamin Franklin, I believe it's Benjamin Franklin quote, resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. And that's it. I mean, whenever it's all said and done, did you fight tyranny or not? And I will.
Well, I agree. And, you take an oath when you join the military to defend the United States Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I feel like so many servicemen and women out there refuse to look at the domestic angle on this, even though we have a president who served as the United Nations president for about a week on the Security Council. We have a president who's about to go to the Copenhagen treaties and possibly sign away our sovereignty to a world government. Yet they just can't wrap their heads around the fact that this goes beyond administrations. This goes beyond the two-party system. And I believe you're running as an independent, correct?
I don't even like to say independent because there's an independent party. I'm just completely unaffiliated, and I detest the idea of lobbyists. So absolutely unassociated.
Well, explain to people that situation, because a lot of people will say, well, this guy must be a libertarian, or he must be with the Green Party, or he's some kind of controlled opposition to stop the Democrats from winning, or he's anti-Republican. Why don't you want to associate yourself with one of these mainline parties?
How do I say this? One hand always has to wash the other hand, or scratch the other one's back, or something. I'm a statesman, if anything. and I don't want to feel responsible for my actions to anyone else. You know, that everyone should be able to stand on their own 2 feet. And whenever you have that, what is going to call it, the paradigm, the left-right paradigm, it just goes back and forth. And that's why they sell you democracy. It's because they can keep playing the 51% back and forth when this is a republic and that it's based on the idea of the sovereign man, and that's what I am, a complete individual.
And that's what people fail to understand. You know, this isn't about democracy. We live in what is called a constitutional republic where we are set up as individual states, and that's why we have states' rights, even though they have been eviscerated by the federales and the programs through the National Security Agency and Homeland Security. People really do need to reconnect with the roots of the Constitution and Bill of Rights and understand that our forefathers didn't want a mob-run government where 51% of the people could tell the other 49% what to do.
Exactly. Every other year.
It's so true. So what are your campaign plans? How are you going to run this campaign? What are some of the programs? When are people going to have to vote? Give us all the information on your campaign.
Okay. Well, the general election is, I believe, November 2nd-ish of 2010. You can register up until 30 days prior, so I would recommend you register before October 1st of 2010. See what else. Of course, if you go to willbratton.com and register for ROGCOM, that covers every Texan statewide, so all 150 or so different districts. Let's see. I'm also hosting a poster hanging contest. There's a number of posters on the website that advertise ROGCOM and some political ideas. And if you go around, like the old Obama Joker face poster contest, if you go around, hang those up on public areas or legal public posting spaces and videotape yourself doing it. Hopefully soon I'll be announcing a custom rifle contest. I just got finished painting the stock this weekend. I think it looks really cool, and I hope to be giving that away on Guy Fawkes Day of 2010.
Oh, that's excellent. The evil guns that they don't want you to have. I have a headline in front of me right now that a Tennessee judge has blocked a law that allows guns into bars and restaurants. A judge on Friday blocked a Tennessee law that allowed people to bring handguns into restaurants and bars. Of course, the headline, though, is only bars, making it seem like, oh, he's doing a good thing. He's stopping bar fights to escalate into death. No, they're stopping people who are sitting down and eating dinner with their friends and family from defending themselves from a potential attacker. And there seems to be an all-out onslaught on the Second Amendment with this administration in particular. What are your views on gun rights in this state and this country?
I hate that I even have to argue for them. The idea that it's even acceptable for me to ever feel defenseless or like someone else's subject. That I'm still a University of Texas student for another week or two, and I'm not allowed to carry. And I do have a concealed handgun license, and I'm not allowed to carry on. Or rather, in the buildings.
So let's get this straight. You're a guy who has served his country overseas in Iraq. You went the full 9 yards. You got the conceal and carry permit. Yet you are restricted from carrying any sorts of handgun or weapon on UT campus as you are a student.
Right. And whenever you hear these stories of 11, 13, however many students getting gunned down, if I was there and I was allowed to carry, there wouldn't be more than one unless I was the first one. You know what I mean? Just the idea that I can't protect not only myself, but those around me. It's completely...
And then we have the situation in Fort Hood, which is very close to home here in Texas and really been kind of like a buzz at the water coolers, where the administration has openly said now they don't want an investigation into an incident where on a military base, a man was able to take two handguns, two semi-automatics that held 20 rounds apiece, and somehow get off over 100 rounds. That means he went in there initially with 40 rounds, ran out, was able to load both guns, fire them off, and then be able to reload a second time before anything happened. Now, that's if you believe the official version. We know there were some early reports that were two shooters. Initially, the guy was killed. Obviously, we're not going to be seeing this guy in the mainstream media telling his account into it, but it is very suspicious to me that they refuse to have an investigation into what happened in Fort Hood. I think it would be imperative that they want to find out what really happened there.
I agree. And it's funny you should mention that. Fort Hood's actually in the district I'm campaigning in. So I'm excited to see what other stuff turns up.
Well, if you were able to be elected in the congressional district which this incident occurred, would you be for an independent state-run investigation into the incident?
I'm for an independent investigation into pretty much everything. I don't think there's anything. I can't think of anything that's acceptable to withhold from the public. And yeah, having been in the military and having had a top secret clearance, actually having a top secret clearance, yeah, there's far too much that's withheld from the public for reasons I can't begin to rationalize.
So are you telling me you're still enlisted in the military? You're still active duty? You're in active duty, but you're still enlisted, and that's why you're going to college right now, correct?